What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Snake Cartel, and today we have I make good money, but I'm miserable. And miserable is kind of a strong word. I'd say empty feels more fitting. But I do want to get into this because this is something I felt for quite some time. And if you guys don't know me, if you guys are first-time viewers, I'm currently 27 years old, and I do work in corporate America as an IT project manager for a bank. And I'm currently on my second corporate job. My first one I was actually let go from during when they were having all the mass layoffs. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that's still going on, but I was laid off in March of last year officially. And I'm definitely happy that I got another job, but it's paying me a lot more, so I definitely have to add that in. I always like to cover the full picture, the good and the bad. But I have to be honest, man, I'm starting to have the same feelings that I had at that job previously, and it's just a very empty feeling. Even though I'm making a whole lot of money, especially for my age group, it still feels empty because although I'm blessed to get into IT, I really have no interest in technology whatsoever. It was strictly a money move for me. And I'm glad I did it in some aspects, but it has no passion in it whatsoever. If you guys see the other videos on my channel or just the YouTube name itself, Snake Cartel, it's obvious that I'm really into animals, reptiles in particular, but I've always liked all sorts of animals, especially as a child. And that's why I've gotten back into making YouTube videos, because it's just so much more fulfilling. It's definitely a sigh of relief for me. And right now I'm having a little venting session, but it definitely helps me in a very therapeutic manner. It definitely gives me a nice break from the typical corporate politics. And guys, honestly, because I work remote as well, I do got to add that in, which is definitely better than in person in my personal opinion. But I definitely it's not so much the work, guys. It's the corporate politics, and anybody that's ever worked in corporate America knows how silly the politics is, especially if you're not in those favorable positions. And luckily, I must say, especially more so with this job, I am kind of in a favorable position for my supervisors. They definitely like me. They think I'm very knowledgeable and very promising, and they want to see me advance. But there's always going to be some problem people you work with. That's really any job. I mean, any type of job has certain politics to it, but I'm speaking specifically for corporate America. And I have worked at jobs outside of that. Like I really come from a labor background. I kind of got into IT as something on my own. I did go to college, but I didn't go to school for IT. I actually went for agribusiness. I must say the corporate environment is very performative. It's filled with people who know nothing about what they're talking about, but they just want to sound smart. People that are trying to advance their careers, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a cutthroat game. People are going to do whatever shady tactics they want to, get that upper hand. And as someone who doesn't really come from this type of corporate environment, there are people in corporate America within my family, but not my immediate family. Like most Americans, I come from a very lower middle class background. My family wasn't living in poverty. Like we weren't on Section 8, but we definitely weren't rich. So I'm really the first person from my household to enter into this type of environment. So that's been a lesson on itself. And this is something I feel like nobody really talks about. And not to deter anybody that's trying to have a career switch, or they're trying to upskill and maybe get into IT or just corporate world in general, because I definitely do like it better than the labor jobs I was doing. Just a background, I used to do junk removal. I was an Amazon driver for years. Actually started driving for Amazon when they first became a thing. So I remember when we would pull up even in the branded vans, and people would be kind of surprised and not know who we were. And with me being on both sides of the fence, as far as coming from labor to the corporate America world, these are supposed to be the big prestigious jobs. They have a lot of like high respect regarding them. And especially as a minority, when I talk to in particular, like just other like older black people, they they really respect the fact that I'm this young and have like the type of work that I do. But I feel like a lot of people, once they actually enter this world, especially when they had come from a family that's outside of it, they really start to see how empty and how very empty and shallow it is. And I feel like that's a major disillusionment factor when it comes to working these types of jobs, especially if you have a particular personality type. I'm not sure if I had more of a innate passion for technology, maybe it may feel different, but you're still working in environments with other people. And personally, guys, no matter how mean they may be, no matter how aggressive, I prefer animals much more over people. And I'll keep it real. As far as the people that I work with, I don't really have too many problems with the people I work with. There's always going to be at least one, no matter where you work, in my opinion, that you're going to have issues with. But for the most part, I have pretty good rapport with my team. And like I said, I have pretty good rapport with my supervisors. But it's just the environment that itself, it just breeds a certain inauthenticity or just fakeness. Let me stop trying to use these super complicated words, but just a level of fakeness that it just feels exhausting, it being so performative and wearing that mask so you can kind of blend in and conform to. And I think on a personal level, for me, I always felt like, just being completely honest with you guys, a little bit insecure in my position, because just being honest, I mean, how else would you get experience? But dude, I totally lied on my resume to get the job. I'm lying during the interview. I came directly from being an Amazon driver into my first IT gig, and that was in, I believe, 2022. I want to say April of 2022. And it was kind of a learn on the job experience, and I felt like I was kind of cosplaying as this IT guy, because I really knew nothing about IT, honestly. But I guess that could be a little inspiration for those that are trying to get into it. Don't let those fear and doubt bring you down, because I definitely did make it work. And even when I was let go from my previous job, it had nothing to do with performance. It was another organizational restructuring, because they were getting picked up from by another company. So there were a lot of different roles that got let go. We even had one of our vice presidents get let go. But I'm curious as to whoever may come across this video, how do you feel about your current position in life? Like, what do you do for a living? Or you don't really, you don't have to get that deep into detail in the comments, but I'm curious. I know I'm not the only one. I see videos like this all the time, and I figured I'd make one, because I tend to resonate with these types of things. And that's why, even though I kind of have sort of a reptile channel, I do like to add things in like this, because I feel like it's helpful. And, I like to relate to people on a human level. Like, we may both like reptiles, but we're also experiencing life as humans. And I also like to tap into that as well, into people, and, create a much deeper connection with the audience. But that's also, even beyond the experience, it's also, especially as I get older and start to notice these things, there's definitely was a major class difference as far as me coming in and the people that I'm working with at both jobs. And, so some other people may be able to relate. Like I said before, I don't come from these types of, socioeconomic class. So it can be a little bit intimidating to a degree. And I definitely understand anybody that may have those feelings, but I've definitely learned a lot too. I always try to learn from people, and I try not to let those things really scare me off. I just look at it as an opportunity for growth and to change my thinking on certain things. I definitely have learned a great deal just from seeing how other people think and their backgrounds, and it's definitely widened my horizons, and I think that's always good. So there's definitely positives, but where I'm at right now, after the initial high of, just getting the job, and, of course, when you get the first few checks, that's always good, because I was definitely able to pay off certain debts and make some major financial moves that I wouldn't have been able to make without having this job, because I was unemployed for months, guys, and I almost went back to doing Amazon, but something told me to just ride it out, and I was going to get something even better. And literally, like, on my last, like, I started right after my unemployment ran out, so I started like perfect timing. But now that the initial newness of the job has worn off, and I kind of figured this was going to happen, I feel like I was just delaying the inevitable. And now that I have a certain level of financial security, it really allows me to analyze my life and think, what do I really want to do with myself? I mean, do you guys have those thoughts? Are you guys daydreaming at work, whatever you may be doing, whether you're at the desk, maybe you're on the construction yard, you're just thinking like, man, I had these ideas of what I wanted to do as a kid, and this was not it. Even if you're making good money, and even if it's one of these respectable type positions, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that think that deep in their mind. And, of course, I'm going to play the game. I definitely don't want to be back in an unemployment situation, but I feel like I come on this camera and just kind of, release some of these things that have been in my mind. And right now I'm sitting in the parking lot of a park. One thing I like to do is check out all the cool local parks around. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. The camera did die on me. I had to delete some old videos to free up some storage, but yeah, it is kind of crowded here, so I'm probably going to swing to another one. But I like to do a lot of positive, productive things to, stay out of a depressive mode, and back in the gym heavy, and really caring for my animals. That's something that I've gotten deeper into. I love doing things for them. I like viewing them, of course, and watching their behaviors. And that's something that always comes up in my mind when I think, wow, what do I want to do with my life? because just this corporate stuff is just not it. And the animals are definitely at the forefront of my mind. And I always like making videos. I've always had YouTube channels throughout my life. And it's almost second nature for me. I always end up stopping and starting, but I really want to stay consistent this time to really see where I can take it. Let me know what you guys do in order to, something that's productive as far as to, take some stress up out of your life. I'm always down to try new things and use just new methods of doing things. So I'm curious about that. I really want this to be a community, not just a stop and go channel. So I really want, this is a safe space for everybody. And I'm very curious about what you guys are going through in life and how you're moving through. I also want to know what gives you guys purpose in life. What is something that's always meant a lot to you, something you see value in, that's always made you feel good, feels like it adds value to your life. I'm curious as to where my audience is coming from in that manner. Like I mentioned, I definitely would like to be more involved with animals and just in the, like I mentioned, the Wiccan's wicked reptiles is always a tongue twister for me. I really like how he was able to monetize his true passion and really turn it into something full time. But I'm curious, what do you guys, something that you may have even forgot about? You may have your career path now, but before you were into all that, if money wasn't involved, I'm curious, what would you guys have wanted to do as an adult? I also want to know, what are your biggest pet peeves at your current job? So, like, I know for me, it's the office politics. It's nothing just like in particular, but for me, it's just like the politics. And there's a lot of office politics at my job for sure. And that has to be one of my biggest pet peeves. And it could be worse. Luckily, it's not really with my supervisor. That could create a whole nother bad dynamic. But the corporate politics are a no-go for me. But I'm going to conclude this here. Hope you guys are doing great. Have a great rest of the week. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, comment, and hype the video, and subscribe. Snake Cartel out.